How's it going, United fans? Welcome back to the Man United podcast. Good evening. Bit of a late one. Thought I'd get in there early. Normally been doing some later ones to these pre-match previews, but straight on to Brentford Man United. A little bit of energy following the sort of disappointing result over the weekend at Villa, but look, we're back on it, aren't we? We're back on it. We've got to go again. There were some positives to take out of that game, albeit for about 30 minutes. I've seen some fairly popular channel on YouTube say that we had 70 minutes of good fortune, and bar that, for the last 20 we were poor. Don't know what game they were watching, but I saw a lot less than that, really. Saw about 30 minutes of positive football. Maybe a spell of 5 or 10 minutes in the second half, but other than that we were pretty diabolical. But I think that was more tactically, and that's where the manager should have really sort of identified those issues and dealt with them. But look, I've done a reaction to the Villa game. If you want to catch that, that was yesterday's stream. So when I rabbled on for 40 minutes talking about rights and wrongs and where we, and generally that sort of the bits from that game. So catch that if you want to watch that. Otherwise, we're going to talk about the Brentford game, mainly look at the formation. Want to quickly chat about the picture that went out on Twitter. Was it Twitter? I think it was Twitter. Or it might have been Facebook as well, probably both. From the mini games. So they're playing now internally. What they're doing is they're playing 5 and 10 minute match, sort of 5 and 7 aside matches. And obviously Ronaldo, over the last few months, has been posting photographs when they've been winning games, posing with the other players in his team that they've been pitted against, or pitted with. And it's some like in-house banter. It's great to see. But the one factor that was flagged up today was that the fact that Pogba was in that team with Ronaldo. Obviously Rashford as well. So Rashford's obviously shown a sign of fitness after missing the game on the weekend and not being even in the squad against Villa. So he's back playing on grass and fully fit. But Pogba, we've all been told that he isn't ready to be playing competitive games, and guaranteed these games in-house. I mean, great that you're selling it. You're selling yourselves and you're showing that there's some sort of spirit within the camp and there's a competitive edge there. Obviously, we want to see more of that on the weekends and against in the Premier League. But Pogba's been repeatedly coming out, or whether it's him or generally the club have been coming out and saying he's not ready. He's supposed to be back in the new year. It's now the 17th. We're sort of looking at week number 3 in the new year, and he's still not back ready. So, what is going on with Pogba? Why is he not back? We desperately need him. Annoyingly, it's almost like he knows that we desperately need him as well, and he just keeps on playing on this fact that we need him desperately, and he just will not come and start grafting and start putting some effort in and playing. I mean, he's missed now pretty much half the season. I mean, comically, I was looking at some stats yesterday. I think it was the Trent Alexander stat had popped up on Twitter about his assists. He's now leading the assist chart. And Pogba's still 4th with 7, and he hasn't played for about 12 weeks more. So it's crazy really that he's how potent he can be and how critical he can be to our team, and we've missed him. In the formation, I'll get up in a second. I think gradually what we're looking to do, and I think what Rangnick wants is to play one single holding midfielder to give us that expansion, and he wants a box-to-box midfielder. He wants one sitting while the other one goes. It gives Bruno a bit of freedom as well, not having to track back and get in there. And Pogba's that player. Pogba doesn't want to be sitting deep. But it doesn't necessarily want to be off the back of the striker either. But he wants to be sort of in that zone and affecting the game further forward the field. And Pogba, what we've been missing out on now is somebody technically gifted, that little bit of quality, passing quality, technical quality to take us over that step into that next stage. We're screaming for it, we're desperate for it, and we've got 100 million plus player sat there, not I'm saying he's faking injuries, but is he exaggerating them a little bit for his own benefit? I'm not sure. It's very, very disappointing if he is, and the fact that he's back now, clearly in a competitive game on grass at Carrick, shows that he's ready to play. He's ready to play, and we'll see. I don't think he'll be playing this week, but will he be available for selection this weekend? Who knows? But so that'll be really interesting. A lot of talk on the manager situation again as well. Is it going to be Eric? Is it with Ten Hag? Is it going to be Pochettino? I think those are the two names rambling around. I've heard a little bit about it being Potter from Brighton, but I think that's just more pie in the sky. Just news reports spinning, I think, more than anything else. Don't get me wrong, he's playing fantastic football. I love watching Brighton play. I think he's more suited to the modern day footballer. He's more comfortable with that type of arrangement, and I think genuinely he feels. I feel like he's a good manager, and he deserves possibly a good crack at a top 5 or 6 club in the Premier League. I think he really, really, really does, and what he's done to Brighton is incredible. But I think United need quality now. They need quality, need some consistency. We needed Conte, really, ideally. That never came, and we're putting plasters over large cracks now to try and fill that gap. Rangnick is struggling to deal with the management of things at this moment in time. I think he's not dealing with situations. The Martial one has been a massive example of that. Why has that come out into the media about him saying he's not ready for, he didn't want to be selected. Then him saying he'd never do that to United. He'd never put himself out of selection. It's just ridiculous. How we can't nullify that news report is just ridiculous. The Maguire situation got out of hand. Ronaldo's been able to speak to the media freely. Obviously, he's a big character, but he's doing interviews with Sky Sports and saying his piece on where United should be and where he thinks United are not at, and this, that, and the other. So there's just, I think generally he's failed in that respect of clambering things up. I'm not saying Ollie did a fantastic job of that. I think I think he didn't do a particularly good job at it either. But it's difficult. I know players have got social media on their phones. It's not like back in the day when they had to physically sit down with somebody and speak to a news reporter, which is a little bit more out of your way. They can just, out of anger or passion, can type something onto Twitter. And I don't think Rangnick's dealt with that possibility very well at all, to be quite honest. I think he's still reeling from the Donny van der Beek situation. I think that's not been particularly great. I think, if anything, it's been worse than it was under Ollie. You sense that with Ollie a little bit, that Van der Beek in the current climate would have had more of a chance and more chances to prove what he's got, especially against people like Villa, where he only got 2 minutes, came on, nearly scored a goal. So it's not great. I think Rangnick's expecting a bunch of young guys who are all going to bend the knee. You don't get that at a big club, and unfortunately, and as much as from a fan's point of view, that's what we all want as well. But reality in the modern day football says that you're not going to get that, because these players haven't been used to the times when Giggs and Scholes and Beckham and Nicky Butt and those players came through, where they had someone to fear, and that person to fear was Fergie. And they've come in, their asses wiped constantly since they've been little kids, and they've come together in a group of into the club and in different facets. And let's be honest, it's gone on for years now. It's gone on for far too long, half a decade, if not more now, of poor characters, poor attitudes, the Di Marias, the Pies, the poor signings in Schweinsteiger, the Schneiderlings, the Fellaini's, the list goes on and on and on. And for me, yeah, I mean, Rangnick's a small part of it really, but he's not dealt with these sort of immediate situations, regardless of the previous history of what's happened with bad attitudes with even these group of players. He's not dealt with the situation very well, and I think initially my assessment of him in the media as well was the one that was pretty good. I still think he speaks very, very well in the media, and I think he deals with them very, very well. I think he knows what he's talking about. He's really passionate about what he talks about. But what I would say, it's very focused on the tactical side of the game. If you watch any manager gone by or any managers now, even Pep doesn't go into his tactics or his philosophy, in depth. If you ever watch an interview, it's just it's very high level. It's very generic about the game. Yeah, we had energy, we pressed well. Rangnick goes into far too much detail with that. Far too much detail, because that's all he knows. And as a manager, you're there to motivate. You're there to manage. You're there to identify certain situations. You're there more than just. It's more than theory, and I think that's the problem. I mean, Scholesy mentioned it in a podcast the other day about Rangnick being this philosopher of football, and but he's never managed a big club. He's done well at RB Leipzig and some other clubs, very low key clubs for short periods of time, and his main influence has been one of a backroom one where he's been able to provide knowledge and insight on top of what they've already got. Not coming in there where into a club like United now, where United are desperate for lots of areas of management that they're currently missing, and I don't know. It's clearly not working. I mean, I didn't rise to the bait when we were poor a few weeks ago. I wasn't impressed with the players, but what was concerning, I think, a little bit with the Villa game on Saturday was that it was clearly the players in certain aspects. Fred technically wasn't very good, and that was a weakness. Matic looked like he was chasing shadows for large portions of the game, which again is nothing to do with tactics as such. Tellers was good, very good in the first half, then tailed off. Dalot was good on Monday in the FA Cup, then was quite poor on Saturday. So there's ups and downs, and it's like as a manager, it's identifying those issues when they happen. It's all right having a philosophy and a style, but then just expecting that style's always going to work. In that instance, or several instances on Saturday, there was areas of the game where it's clearly we were flagging or running out of ideas, and we should have remedied it really, or Rangnick should have identified it and made some, maybe not some physical changes, but tactical ones initially, and then in the second half made some changes. I think Van der Beek would have slowed the game down, compacting the midfield, bringing Cavani off, going with Greenwood centrally and up front and on his own, and compact, making that midfield a little bit more compact. We didn't need to chase the game, especially when we were 2 up. The game was done, so kill the game off. But so that for me was poor management, and I think if Ollie did that, you would have been screaming at Ollie. I think he left Matic on when Matic was on a yellow card, and on a couple of occasions almost rode his luck, nearly got sent off, and there was a lot of criticism when that happened to Fred last season, when Ollie kept him on. But yeah, so the jury's out with Rangnick. I think he's coming to realise that this job is far too big and far too great for someone like him to deal with. I don't think he's dealing with the outside of football questions very well. I think if it's anything to do with football in terms of what it is that we need to be doing, I think he answers the questions perfectly well. Why did we not do this? Why did we not do that? What do we need to do better? I think he answers them pretty good. But other than that, I think it's just really, really poor. And that's obviously going to change. Now, who do we get next? Pochettino. Everybody's sort of screaming about Pochettino. It seems a bit 50-50 at the minute. I think personally, if you're going to have Rangnick and you're really going to stick to that style, to then go Pochettino as a complete left-hand turn to where he's currently at. So I don't know. I don't know if I think that's a particularly good move, other than the fact that Poch is good with players of big egos, big temperaments, and I think he'd be better suited to the job at Man United. But it doesn't seem to sit right or fit with the Rangnick appointment, so that'd be a bit of an odd one. And it was like, well, how would Rangnick then get on with Pochettino? But then maybe that would work. Opposites attract sometimes, so maybe that would work. Rangnick's backroom theoretical style with Pochettino's great management skills, media skills. So maybe the two would balance themselves out, and maybe that's what they need. I think Rangnick could be stunned with it as well. Ten Hag would be stunned with it as well. I think it'd be another lamb to the slaughter appointment, and I think we need a big attitude, a big character with a bit of positivity. I think Mourinho was all those things apart from the positive attitude. Poch is in my book probably the way that we need to be steering. But who else is there? I mean, unless you're cheeky and you do get Conte and you do try everything you can to try and get him, but as we know, Levy ain't going to let Conte go for any less than what he thinks he's worth. So we'll see on that one. So let's get into the formation. Let's talk a bit about the formation. If you do jump on, I've seen a comment there. Not entirely sure what that means, but if you do want to drop a comment, I'll respond. We'll have a chat. We'll discuss things as we go through. If you've got any suggestions, formation suggestions or predictions or anything like that, then don't be afraid to drop a comment in as well and put your predictions in there, or formation predictions, who you think is going to be playing, who you'd like to see play. If I've not got the formation right, formations you'd like to see. We'll just have a chat about it. I mean, that's what this is all about. This is a bit of a forum just for us to chew the fat and see if we're not far off the mark. Get a little bit of joy out of Man United until they start playing. So yeah, let's have a little look at the formation. So this is what I think he will go with. It's my microphone. This is what I think he will go with. So I've heard on the grapevine and some other reputable channels and news reports that he's going to make a few changes. I think mainly because it's a midweek game, and then we've got another game on Saturday, then the 22nd. So I think there's obviously going to be a little bit of switch around. Fergie was quite used to doing that. I think he'd mainly swap his more attacking players rather than his defence. But we're seeing a lot of change in the back four. Mainly we're seeing a lot of change in the back four because it's so inconsistent. And that's never really that good, is it, if you're changing your back four quite regularly, unless there's genuine reasons, i.e. injury or suspension or something like that. So obviously we see Shaw come back after suspension. I think he's definitely going to play on that left. I didn't think Tellers did anything wrong in the first half, but equally I didn't think Shaw did anything wrong in the FA Cup game. And I think genuinely if the two players are fit, Shaw just edges it on ability. Not necessarily form. I think he had form, it'd be a hands down, but clearly he's not on the best of form of late, but he looked a little bit better in the FA Cup game on Monday, so I think Shaw comes back in. Varane seemed to have a level of consistency in the game on Monday, then he played the game on Saturday, and I felt like he looked like he was all over the place, but he had patches where he was good, especially in the first half again. But the jury's out on it for me. I'm not really seeing a top quality, serial Champions League winning defender at the moment, and that's a concern. Now, there's a lot of other issues why that is. Obviously, his midfield's not giving him much protection. It's far from the best midfield in the Premier League, and his partner has been either Bailly, Lindelof or Maguire, so it's difficult to sort of criticise Varane too much, but we need to see a solid performance and a bit more of a experienced performance, I think, from him as well, where you see a little bit of fire in his belly, some instruction going out to the other players. Yeah, just a lot more of a positive overall performance from Varane. I think he's needed. I think Maguire comes in. Obviously, he's missed a couple of games now, and I think he's due back. So I think Maguire will slot in there. And we do need a solid performance from Maguire. It's a big game. It's 3 points that we need, and I think it edges us close after West Ham's loss on the weekend, and then we've got West Ham off the back of this as well on Saturday. So chance to close the gap a little bit, and then push on and hopefully beat West Ham on Saturday would close the gap even further. So some opportunities here now for United to really push on here. And traditionally we've had a little bit. We always tend to have a better second half of the season. So let's hope that does start happening soon. So Maguire to slot in there. I think he'll go with Wan-Bissaka on Wednesday as well. I think. Mainly just because I think from the Dalot performance, I thought Dalot was good on Monday, very good on Monday against Villa, and then on Saturday was pretty poor, and then a lot of the chances came down his side. Now, there's a bit of criticism on it being his fault for, let's say, the second goal, but really the fault was Lindelof pulling out of that position to close that attacker who was miles out from the edge of his box, so I don't know why he was rushing to that. I felt like it was more his fault than anybody else's, but I think Wan-Bissaka just tightens that defensive right-hand side up a little bit. Obviously, it's his attacking prowess that is under question, and we'll have to see whether he improves that or not. It remains to be seen, but I think Wan-Bissaka's most likely going to be playing on that right-hand side, that right-back position, so we'll see. Fred sits in the back for me as a single holding midfielder with McTominay. So I've had this like kind of 3 misshapen diamond triangular sort of like middle formation where Bruno's a little bit more advanced and McTominay's also a little bit more advanced. So the idea is it's like a 4-1-2, for either a 4-1-2-2-1 or a 4-1-2-3. You judge that how you want to judge that, really. But the idea is that Bruno was obviously going to be linking up. The best position for Bruno is sort of in the middle of that park and sat behind the striker. You know, that's attacking midfield role is his best position. He's confident in those tighter areas, and he likes playing in those areas. Where he's weak is when he's sat where Fred sat or McTominay sat deeper in midfield. It doesn't suit him at all. I think he rushes his passes. He tries a little bit too hard, and it's just not his best position. So, for me, Bruno needs to be a little bit more advanced in that 3. But I think McTominay needs to sort of like support him as well, and sort of like cover that middle of the park behind where Bruno will be playing, with Fred obviously covering it a little deeper. I've put in Alanga on the left and Greenwood on the right. I've got Greenwood's number wrong. It's because I was doing a player review the other night, and I'd put the player ratings in rather than putting the numbers in. So I've not put the numbers back in. So Greenwood's 6 for because I haven't changed it. So apologies, it should be 11. But I've got Greenwood right, Alanga left. Now, I've heard rumours that Rashford being fit in the training session, it's more likely that Rashford is going to be playing on the left. And obviously there's been a lot of talk about Rashford trying to gain a little bit of form back. So we need to see. I think ultimately we probably will see Rashford back. But I hope we see Alanga. Alanga did nothing wrong first half. I think he should be playing based on form. And then bring Rashford on. Rashford's, for me, always performed well as an impact player, and I think with his form at the minute and his fitness, I don't think he should be starting anyway. So, bring him on in the last 30 minutes, and turn Brentford around with Rashford's pace. But I'd start with Alanga personally. I've gone with, like I said, Greenwood on the right, but Greenwood's not been particularly firing either. I don't think it's his best position. I think he should be playing centrally, but Ronaldo's back, and I think Ronaldo being out for a week is going to do him a lot of good and do us some good. Cavani's been poor, so I think naturally Cavani's going to come out and Ronaldo's going to come into that position and fill those boots. And I think with him being out a week, I think he'll be hungry. He's hungry anyway, isn't he? You know, he's very competitive anyway. But I mean, I think in that first 30 minutes against Villa on Saturday, the game was screaming out for Ronaldo. We were getting chances, we were getting balls in the box, we were a lot better, and I think we would have been in a better position with Ronaldo in that central position for us. But obviously wasn't available. I think Greenwood again. He's not a right mid, but right wing forward. He needs to be playing centre forward for me. But who else do you play? Do you play Sancho? The form suggests that he doesn't deserve it. But then, has he had a run of form? Really, he hasn't been terribly bad from the European games he played, and then he's kind of just dropped off from him. We had obviously some cancellations with COVID, so. Again, I think bringing him on for the last couple of minutes and then criticising his form is a pretty weak argument. But if he doesn't go with Greenwood, I'd go with Sancho. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe it just doesn't feel like it suits Man United. So we'll see on that one. So that's the team I think he will roughly go with. I think he could slot McTominay back in with Fred and play Bruno sort of more on his own in a 3 across midfield, which essentially is what it is. But it's just kind of the idea is that Fred is sitting and McTominay is sort of sitting alongside Bruno in midfield than a deep line in midfielder. So I think the changes are going to be essentially Alanga or Greenwood. I think that. Potentially, we could see, an inclusion of Rashford or Sancho instead. But I honestly don't feel like Alanga is deserving of not of a start. I think with like I say, with Rashford's fitness and form, I don't think he should be starting the game. I do think he should come on, but I don't think he should be starting the game. But that's not to say that he won't. So we'll see. So that's where we're at with that. Again, if you jump on, don't forget to comment. Comment away, like and subscribe too, please, because it does me a world of good speaking to people, and it makes it all worth it. So if you do come on, like, subscribe, and definitely comment, and I'll hit you one back. So that's a formation. I mean, there's nothing much else I kind of wanted to add. I mean, there's a bit of talk. I was just watching the transfer news on Sky, and there was a bit of talk about Martial again, and Newcastle have raised their head with the Martial saga. It seemingly seems quite interesting going to Newcastle, so obviously he wants to stick around in the Premier League. Doesn't want to be with Sevilla, who are doing very well at the minute in La Liga for some reason. And I think that in itself shows Martial's competitive edge in terms of competing for his place, competing at the top, and wanting to win things. I think that's essentially that's what we've come accustomed to at United and been used to seeing with him. And I think that's his attitude. Unfortunately, he's just not a winner. He doesn't want to win. He doesn't want to graft. He doesn't want to, he just doesn't want to do it. And I think if he did, the talent's there. He'd be one of the best in the world for sure. But unfortunately, Martial's just not. He's not interested. It's his attitude, and it's been visible for many a season. So that's sad. Obviously, Lingard's rotten away as well, which was obviously, it was a shock really when Lingard decided to come back to United and not stay at West Ham. He seemed to love it. His form was incredible. Everything seemed to point in the direction that he was going to be staying at West Ham, and I don't know, United, whatever the reasons were, kept him, and Donny van der Beek, weird one. I mean, I saw a post on the United Facebook page the other day, and I just commented saying, Charlotte, it's almost like a piss take of a post. They put Donny van der Beek 50 appearances for Man United, and I just thought, the cheek of that to say, Donny van der Beek's had 50 appearances for Man United. what reaction were the fans going to give for that? I mean, clearly going to be pretty angry about it. Some fans were going to be taking the piss. Non-Man United fans were going to be taking the piss. It's just, it was an absolute joke of a post to put on, and then I mean, I've never seen a mistreatment of a player like it. But that's the way it is. I mean, I really do feel like the kid's got a future with United still. Really do feel like we still could get some service out of him. We're still in 3 competitions. We've got Middlesbrough coming up. Could he feature in that? It's not games he wants to feature in when he's been in Champions League finals and half that squad haven't. Yeah, mind-boggling really. But yeah, that's where we're at. So a lot of dead wood, a lot of loose ends, and not a lot of answers really. I think a lot of this situation where a lot of these players are going to be probably going to come to fruition by by summertime. I don't think we'll see an end to it until summer, and then God knows what will happen. A lot of players out of a lot of contracts. Bruno's now is kicking a fuss about his wages, which is understandable considering the wages that he's on compared to some other players who aren't performing. So obviously we just need to get that one sorted out. We can't be losing Bruno. So just very, very concerning. Obviously Eric Bailly on loan, ludicrous decision. The decisions throughout the last few years have just been ridiculous, and hopefully this new executive director will sort a lot of that out for us, because the previous one wasn't very good. So yeah, well, I'm going to leave it there, guys, anyway. It's been a quick half an hour just to talk through the match preview for Brentford. Match predictions, I reckon we've got to put in a solid performance. I think if it goes a little bit more expansive and it is brave, Rangnick, we'll get some joy out of it. There were some positives in that Aston Villa game, and I'll put down, I think with Ronaldo back, we'll win the game. I think it'll be 2-1, 3-1. I think it's 3-1 Man United. I'm going to go a couple of goals, and we're going to win the game 3-1. But I'm not entirely confident in that prediction, and I haven't been all season. I mean, it could be quite easily 3-1 to Brentford the way that we've been playing, but 3-1 United, Ronaldo 2, Bruno 1. Yeah, so right, guys, again, like, share, subscribe, and hit me a comment in, and I'll always respond. And then we'll do a watch along hopefully on Wednesday. I've got a watch on Wednesday, so we'll watch the game and I'll do a watch along. So catch me on that one. If you've watched this, catch me on the watch along for the game on Wednesday. Right, guys, take it easy. See you in a bit.